Let me tell you the number one mistake men make when they try to become unbothered. They confuse being unbothered with being cold. They hear don't react and they translate it into don't care. They hear hold frame and they translate it into be distant. They hear be a man and they translate it into shut down. So they start performing this character. Short replies, late replies on purpose, withholding affection, acting like they're above everything. Never admitting anything gets to them, trying to look like nothing matters. And I get why, I really do. A lot of men have been embarrassed for caring, they've been played, they've been ghosted after investing. They've been made to feel weak for expressing emotion. They've been in situations where the moment they showed love, the other person lost respect. So now they're like, never again, I'm going to be unbothered. But here's the truth that changes everything. Most men try to look unbothered instead of becoming unbothered. They focus on the outside, the posture, the vibe, the performance, and that's why their results are inconsistent, frustrating, and sometimes the exact opposite of what they want. Because cold is not calm. Cold is a tactic. Calm is a trait. Cold is an act. Calm is a state. Cold is trying to control the other person. Calm is controlling yourself. And if you don't understand that difference, you'll either attract drama, create power games, or push away the exact kind of woman you actually want. So today I'm going to show you what unbothered really is, why men fall into the cold trap, how it backfires, and how to build real calm masculine stability without becoming a jerk, without playing mind games, and without turning dating into a chess match. Because the goal isn't to win against women. The goal is to become a man who can't be pulled out of his piece. Let's make the mistake clear in one sentence. The number one mistake men make trying to be unbothered is that they use emotional distance as a strategy instead of emotional regulation as a lifestyle. That's it. They don't get calmer, they get quieter. They don't become stronger, they become harder. They don't become stable, they become avoidant. And it feels like strength in the moment because distance feels like safety. If you don't feel anything, you can't get hurt, right? But the I don't care mask has a cost because the man who pretends not to care is still controlled. He's just controlled by fear. He's controlled by the fear of being seen, the fear of being rejected, the fear of being the one who cares more, the fear of losing. So he turns love into a contest, and you can't build a healthy connection on a contest. Now listen, some of you are thinking, but being cold works. Women chase when you pull back. Sometimes, for a while, in certain dynamics, with certain people, but you have to. Understand what you're actually creating when you do that. You're creating uncertainty. And uncertainty makes people anxious. Anxiety makes people test. Testing creates drama. So the funny part is men try to be cold to avoid drama, and they accidentally create more drama. Because when your energy becomes unpredictable, the other person can't relax. And if a woman can't relax around you, she'll either become anxious and start doing things to regain control, or she'll slowly detach and emotionally leave, and you're sitting there thinking, I'm being unbothered. No, you're being unavailable, and there's a massive difference. Real unbothered is not, I don't care. Real unbothered is, I care, but I don't collapse. It's, I can feel emotion, but emotion doesn't drive the car. It's, I like you, but I won't abandon myself to keep you. That's unbothered. So let me define it in the cleanest way possible. Unbothered is emotional regulation plus self-respect plus outcome independence. Emotional regulation means you don't get hijacked by impulse. Self-respect means you don't negotiate your standards. Outcome independence means you don't need one specific outcome to be okay. And that's why the unbothered man is attractive. Not because he's cold, because he's stable. Stability is rare. Most men are either anxious or avoidant. The anxious guy chases. He panics when the energy changes. He over-explains. He double-texts. He tries to fix every silence. He tries to talk someone into choosing him. The avoidant guy runs. He disappears when things get real. He uses silence as punishment. He withholds warmth to feel powerful. He treats connection like a threat. And most men bounce between the two. They chase, then get hurt, then swing to cold, then miss her, then chase again. That cycle is not unbothered. That cycle is being controlled by your wounds. The unbothered man is neither anxious nor avoidant. He's present, but not needy. Warm, but not weak. Direct, but not aggressive. Open, but not foolish. He doesn't have to perform, he just is. Now, let me show you how to tell if you're actually unbothered or you're just acting cold. Here's the test. If your calm is designed to make her react, you are bothered. If you pull back so she'll chase, you are bothered. If you go quiet so she'll feel guilty, you are bothered. If you delay a reply because you're scared to look eager, you are bothered. If you post things to get her attention, you are bothered. If you say, I don't care, but you keep checking her status, you are bothered. Because the center of your behavior isn't peace, it's control. And control is always a sign of inner chaos. Real unbothered doesn't require an audience. It's calm even if nobody claps for it. It's calm even if she leaves. That's the level. Now, let's talk about why this mistake destroys your results even when you think it's working. A lot of guys focus on attraction like it's only tension, like if you create enough distance, she'll chase. But attraction isn't only tension. Attraction is also safety. Not boring safety, not nice guy safety. I'm talking about emotional safety, consistency, clarity, self-control, direct communication. A man whose mood isn't fragile. A man who doesn't explode or withdraw every time something doesn't go his way. That kind of calm creates trust. And trust creates a deeper attachment than any mind game ever will. When you act cold, you remove safety. You might create short-term tension, sure, but long-term, you create distrust. And distrust kills respect. Even if she's attracted, she can't relax. And if she can't relax, the relationship becomes a power struggle. So if you're tired of drama, stop trying to be a cold man. Become a calm man. Now I want to get real with you. Because some of you are watching this thinking, okay, but women do test men. Women do pull away. Women do play games. Yes, some people do, men and women. But here's what matters. How you respond determines whether it becomes a game. Games only continue when someone participates. A calm man doesn't participate, not by disappearing, not by punishing, by being clear, steady, and willing to walk away from what doesn't match him. And that brings us to the real, unbothered mindset. You don't chase what's running, you don't punish what disappoints you, and you don't negotiate respect. You simply move accordingly. Let me give you an example that might sting, but it'll wake you up. A lot of guys say, she pulled away, so I pulled away. But the way they pull away isn't calm. It's passive aggressive. They're trying to teach her a lesson. They want her to feel the anxiety they feel. They want her to come back apologizing. That's not unbothered. That's revenge with a quiet face. And women can feel that. Healthy women will feel it and think, this guy is emotionally unsafe. Unhealthy women will feel it and think, oh, we're playing power games. Perfect. Either way, you lose. The calm response to someone pulling away is not silent treatment. It's one clear message, then you go live your life. Let me say it again because this is the whole video. Unbothered isn't distance, it's decisiveness. You don't need to withdraw to feel powerful. You need to be clear about what you accept and what you don't, and then you act like a man whose life is full. So here's the real system. It's simple, and that's why it works. State, boundary, exit. State what is happening without accusation. Boundary what you will and won't do. Exit the loop peacefully. Not dramatic, not emotional, not a speech. Just clean. For example, if she's getting disrespectful in an argument, the cold man tries to win. He debates, he proves, he raises his voice, or he shuts down and disappears. The calm man says something like, I'm not doing disrespect. We can talk when it's calm. And then he stops, not because he's weak, because he's disciplined. He doesn't need the last word, because he already has the only word that matters, his boundary. That's unbothered. Now, a lot of you are going to struggle here because you've been taught that explaining yourself is strength. No, over-explaining is usually anxiety. It's you trying to control how you're perceived. The unbothered man doesn't need to be understood by everyone. He needs to be aligned with himself. So, here's a rule that will change your dating life. Never explain yourself twice. If someone didn't hear you the first time, repeating yourself with more emotion doesn't create respect. It creates a negotiation. So when you state your standard once, you don't keep selling it. You let your actions speak. Now let's talk about the biggest fear men have. If I'm warm and direct, she'll lose respect. That fear comes from a real pattern many men have experienced. When they cared more, they got treated worse. So they conclude, caring equals weakness. But caring is not weakness. Neediness is weakness, and the difference is huge. Caring is, I like you and I'm consistent. Neediness is, I like you and if you don't respond, I'm going to spiral. Caring is, I'm interested and I'm still busy with my purpose. Neediness is, you are my purpose. Caring is, I want you but I can lose you. Neediness is, I need you and I can't lose you. The unbothered man cares, but he doesn't cling. That's why he's respected. So if you're currently acting cold because you're scared, warmth will make you look weak. You're not unbothered. You're guarded. And guarded men don't attract healthy love. They attract tests because the other person is trying to figure out, is there a real man here or just a performance? And the moment your performance cracks, the whole thing collapses. So how do you become genuinely unbothered? You stop building strategies and start building a life. Because here's the part nobody wants to hear. You can't be unbothered if you don't have options in your life besides her. Options don't mean other women. Relax. Options means your time is filled with something that matters. Your body, your work, your friends, your hobbies, your mission, your peace, your standards. A man with nothing going on will always be bothered because every text becomes a lifeline. Every reply becomes validation. Every silence becomes panic. That's not confidence, that's dependency. So unbothered is built in the daily structure of your life, not in a text message. Now I'm going to get very practical because you're not watching this for philosophy. You want moves, you want behavior, you want exactly what to say and do. Good. Here are the most common situations where men mess up and try to act unbothered and what a truly unbothered man does instead. Situation 1, she takes longer to reply or she pulls away a little. The anxious man double texts, checks her stories, asks what's wrong, tries to fix it. The cold man waits even longer, replies dry, tries to punish. The unbothered man does this. He sends one clean message if needed, then he continues his life. Example phrases, all good, hit me when you're free. Seems like you're busy, we'll talk later. No worries, hope your day's smooth. Notice what these messages do. They don't beg, they don't accuse, they don't punish, they communicate calm, and they leave room. And then you actually leave room. You don't send 5 more texts, you don't hover, you move. Because the biggest flex is not pretending you're busy, it's being busy. Situation 2, she says, I need space. Most men hear this and panic. They either chase or they disappear in anger. The unbothered response is, understood, take the space. I'll focus on my week. That's it. No guilt trip. No, after all I did. No dramatic goodbye. No cold silence to make her miss you. You respect the request. And then you go live like a man. And here's the part that makes you attractive. You don't need to monitor the space. You don't need daily updates. You don't need to keep your finger on the pulse because your peace is not dependent on her mood. Situation 3. She tries to start a fight or she gets emotional and starts poking. The anxious man gets pulled into it, raises his voice, tries to prove he's right, and now you're in the mud. The cold man stonewalls, "K, whatever, do what you want," and that triggers her more. The calm man keeps it simple. I'm not doing this like that. If you want to talk, we can talk calmly. And then he stops engaging. Not because he's running, because he's refusing chaos. There's a difference between leaving the conversation and abandoning the relationship. A calm man doesn't abandon, he pauses. Situation 4, jealousy games. She mentions another guy, posts something to get a reaction, or says something like, my ex used to. The anxious man competes. The cold man tries to one-up. The unbothered man sets the tone. I'm not competing. If you want me, be direct. Or, I don't do triangles. Either we're building or we're not. And then you move. Situation 5. She tests your boundaries with disrespect. Let's be real. If there's disrespect early, it only gets worse if you tolerate it. A calm man doesn't lecture. He doesn't say, women should respect men, and start a podcast in her messages. He simply says, I like you, but I don't do disrespect. We'll talk later. Or, that doesn't work for me. If it happens again, I'm out. And then, and this is where most men fail, you mean it. Because boundaries without consequences are suggestions. If you say you don't tolerate something but you stay and accept it anyway, you teach her that your words are fake. And nothing kills respect faster than a man whose standards are negotiable. Now, some of you are hearing these scripts and thinking, okay, but isn't that still a tactic? No, the tactic is when you say it to manipulate an outcome. This is a lifestyle. You're communicating your standards and protecting your peace. That's what unbothered is. Now, let's talk about texting, because this is where men ruin everything trying to act unbothered. Texting is not where you prove your value. Texting is logistics and vibe. The biggest texting mistake men make when they try to be unbothered is that they become robotic and dry. They think less emotion equals more respect. But if you remove warmth, you remove connection. So the goal is not to text like you hate her. The goal is to text with calm confidence. Warm, short, and direct. Here's a simple guideline that will fix your texting energy immediately. Be concise. be clear, and don't text from anxiety. If you're texting to get reassurance, stop. If you're texting to calm your insecurity, stop. If you're texting because the silence makes you uncomfortable, stop. Text when you have purpose. Invite, confirm, share a moment, flirt lightly, keep it moving. For example, instead of sending 3 paragraphs about how you feel, you can say, "Come with me Friday, 8 p.m." Or, "I'm free Wednesday or Thursday." Pick one. Notice the energy. Calm leadership. Not begging, not performing, just direction. Now, let's get into the emotional side, because this is where unbothered becomes real or fake. A lot of men think being unbothered means you never feel bothered. Wrong. It means you feel bothered, and you handle it like a man. You don't dump your emotions on her. You don't suppress them and pretend you don't have them. You process them, regulate, and then decide your action. This is the key. Emotions are information, not instructions. If you feel jealous, it doesn't mean you need to accuse or control. It means you need to check your standard and your situation. If you feel anxious, it doesn't mean you need to chase. It means you need to ground yourself and remember your life. If you feel disrespected, it doesn't mean you need to explode. It means you need to set a boundary. So unbothered is actually emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is attractive because it's rare. Now, let me give you a story that will make this clear. Picture 2 men dating the same woman. Man A is cold unbothered. Man B is calm unbothered. She pulls away for 2 days. Man A sees it, gets triggered, but he doesn't want to show it. So he becomes colder. He stops initiating. He replies with lol and K. He watches her stories. He feels powerless. He says nothing, but he's boiling inside. He's not calm. He's silent. Man B sees it, notices the shift, and he doesn't panic. If it's early dating, he does nothing. He simply continues his life. If she reaches out, he responds normally. If she doesn't, he doesn't chase. If it's more established and he needs clarity, he sends one message. "Hey, you've been a bit distant. Everything good?" If she says she's stressed, he's like, "Got it. Handle what you need to handle. I'm around." If she ignores him or plays games, he doesn't beg or punish. He simply moves his attention back to his life. If the pattern continues, he addresses it directly once. "I'm into you, but I'm not doing inconsistent energy. If you want this, let's be steady." And if she can't, he leaves, not dramatically, clean. Man A thinks he's unbothered, but he's trapped in his ego. Man B is actually unbothered because he's willing to lose what doesn't fit. That willingness is what creates real power. Let me say something that might offend you, but if you accept it, you level up fast. The unbothered man doesn't need to win every moment. He needs to win his life. He's not obsessed with who has more power in this conversation. He's focused on, is this aligned with who I am? That's the mindset shift. Now, let's talk about the real reason women test men, because this is important. A lot of men interpret tests as manipulation. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's simply a woman trying to answer a question. Is this man stable, or is he performative? She's trying to see if you are who you claim to be when you're challenged. So when you respond with coldness, it often communicates one of 2 things. Either you're petty or you're scared, because calm doesn't need to punish. Calm doesn't need to prove. Calm is consistent. That's why calm men pass tests without even trying. They don't pass tests by outsmarting her. They pass tests by being solid. Now, I'm going to give you the unbothered blueprint as a way of thinking. It's going to save you from overreacting, underreacting, and turning your dating life into a sitcom. Here it is. You only do 3 things, ever. You communicate, you set a boundary, you walk away. That's it. You don't chase, you don't punish, you don't lecture, you don't beg, you don't spy, you don't teach her a lesson. You communicate once with calm clarity. If it changes, great. If it doesn't, you set a boundary. If the boundary is ignored, you walk away. And walking away isn't playing hard to get. It's self-respect. And the moment you truly embody this, you stop being anxious, because you're no longer trying to control people. You're controlling access to you. Now, let's go deeper, because some of you are thinking, okay, but how do I stay calm when something triggers me? This is where most men fail. They want the external strategy, but they don't build the internal capacity. So here are practical tools to become actually unbothered, not performant. First tool, the pause. When you feel triggered, anger, jealousy, anxiety, do not respond immediately. Not because you're playing games, because you're regulating. Give yourself 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour if needed. Go for a walk. Do push-ups. Breathe. Drink water. Do something physical. Your body carries the emotion. Regulate your body, your mind follows. Second tool, name the emotion. In your head, literally label it. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling disrespected. I'm feeling insecure. When you name it, you create space from it. You stop being the emotion. You start observing the emotion. That alone lowers the intensity. Third tool, ask one question. What would a self-respecting calm man do here? Not, how do I get her back? Not, how do I make her chase? What would a calm man do? He'd either communicate clearly, set a boundary, or walk away. Fourth tool, stop making her the center of your day. If your mood rises and falls based on her texts, you are not unbothered. You are outsourced. So build your schedule like a man whose life matters. Training, work, learning, friends, time outside, projects, rest. If your life is empty, you will cling. If your life is full, you will naturally be calm. Fifth tool, remove the fantasy. A lot of men get bothered because they're not reacting to reality. They're reacting to the story in their head. She's pulling away because she's with another guy. She's testing me because she doesn't respect me. She didn't reply because she doesn't care. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but you don't need to. Guess. You need to observe patterns and respond with standards. If someone is inconsistent, you don't have to invent reasons. You just decide what you accept. Now, I'm going to give you exact unbothered lines for the most common scenarios, and I want you to understand. These lines work because they match a mindset. Don't memorize them and still be needy inside. It'll leak. Use these when you're calm and they'll land with power. If she's distant and you want to check in without chasing, hey, you've been quiet, everything good? If she replies with something vague like, I'm fine, but still cold, got it. If you want to talk, I'm around. If she says she's busy, respect, handle your stuff. We'll talk later. If she tries to argue through text, I'm not arguing over text. If you want to talk, call me later. If she's being disrespectful, I'm not doing disrespect, talk to me properly, or we'll talk another time. If she tries to make you jealous, I don't do triangles. If you want me, be direct. If she disappears and comes back like nothing happened, where you been? And if she gives excuses or avoids accountability, all right, I'm into consistency. If you want this, keep it steady. If she says, I need space, understood, take the space. I'll focus on my week. If you want to define the relationship without pressure, I like what we have. I'm not rushing, but I move with consistency. If we're building, let's build. If she's hot and cold and you're tired, I'm attracted to you, but I'm not doing inconsistent energy. If you want this, be steady. If not, no hard feelings. That last one is a nuclear line. Only use it if you're actually prepared to walk away. Otherwise, you'll look like a bluff. Now, let's talk about the biggest trap in this entire space, using silence as a weapon. There's a difference between silence and space. Space is healthy. Silence as punishment is toxic. Space is, I'm taking time to cool down so I can be respectful. Punishment silence is, I'm going to ignore you so you suffer and chase. A lot of men call punishment silence being unbothered. No, that's being manipulative. And even if it works, what are you building? A relationship where both people are controlling and scared. And that's why it turns into a mess. So if you want to be unbothered, use space for regulation, not retaliation. Here's how a calm man takes space. I'm getting heated. I'm going to take an hour and we'll talk when I'm calm. That's leadership. You're not disappearing. You're managing. Now, I want to address something important because some guys will hear this and think I'm telling you to be a nice guy. I'm not. Nice guy energy is weak because it avoids truth to avoid rejection. Calm energy is strong because it tells the truth without needing approval. A nice guy says it's fine when it's not fine. A calm man says that doesn't work for me. A nice guy keeps explaining until she agrees. A calm man states once and moves accordingly. A nice guy tries to win her by sacrificing himself. A calm man attracts her by being whole. So don't confuse warmth with weakness. Warmth without boundaries is weakness. Warmth with boundaries is strength. That's the combination you want. Now, let me show you how to handle one of the most common bothered triggers, when you start caring and she starts pulling back. This happens a lot. You're consistent. You treat her well, you invest. Then suddenly she's less responsive, less enthusiastic, less present. Most men make one of two moves. They chase harder or they get cold. Both are reactive. Here's the unbothered move. You match reality, not fear. You don't match her mood, you match her pattern. One off day, no problem. People have lives. A week of distance, now you address it calmly once. Hey, I've noticed you've been a bit distant lately. Are we good? If she communicates and you can work with it, cool. If she avoids, deflects, blames you, or keeps you in confusion, then you say, I'm not into unclear energy. If you want to keep seeing each other, let's be consistent. If she still stays inconsistent, you leave. And here's the magic. When you do this, you stop being a man who waits to be chosen. You become the chooser. That shift alone makes you unbothered because you're no longer sitting there like, please don't leave. You're thinking, if you stay, it's because it fits. If you leave, I'm still good. Now I want to talk about something no one wants to admit. A lot of men act cold because they don't actually believe they're valuable. So they try to create value through scarcity. They think, if I disappear, she'll want me. But the highest value men don't create scarcity artificially. They naturally have scarcity because their time is valuable. They have standards, they have priorities, they have a full life. So if you're trying to become unbothered, your first goal is not to master texting. Your first goal is to master your life because you can't mindset your way out of emptiness. If you have no purpose, no routine, no discipline, no momentum, you will cling. So if you want a practical plan, here it is. Train your body consistently. Work on a craft or mission you respect. Build friendships and social life. Get your money right. Develop hobbies that put you in real-world confidence. Get enough sleep. Stop consuming content that makes you paranoid. Do that, and unbothered becomes natural because you start living like a man who has something to lose besides a woman's attention. Now, let's go even deeper. The internal identity shift. The unbothered man doesn't think, how do I keep her? He thinks, does she fit the life I'm building? That one thought changes your entire energy because when your frame is, I hope she stays, you become flexible with your standards. You tolerate disrespect. You tolerate inconsistency. You tolerate confusion because you're afraid of loss. But when your frame is, does she fit? You become calm because you're not fighting to keep a spot filled. You're evaluating. That evaluation energy is what women call high value. Not because you're arrogant, because you're selective. And selective men don't have to act cold to be respected. They're respected because they respect themselves. Now, some of you are thinking, but what if I actually like her a lot? Good, like her, enjoy her, be present. Being unbothered doesn't mean you act like you don't care. It means you don't abandon your spine when you care. So you can be affectionate and still have boundaries. You can be romantic and still be disciplined. You can be committed and still be independent. That's the level. Now I'm going to give you a mental checklist you can use anytime you feel yourself slipping into coldness or chasing. Ask yourself these questions. Am I about to text because I'm anxious? Am I about to go silent because I'm hurt? Am I communicating to be clear or to get control? Am I acting in alignment with my standards or my fear? If she left today, would I still respect how I handled this? That last question is everything because one day you might lose someone you wanted, and you don't want to lose yourself with them. Unbothered means even if the relationship ends, you can look back and say, I stayed solid. No begging, no petty revenge, no humiliation, no chaos, just clean self-respect. Now, let me talk to the guys who are currently in the cold performance trap. You might be thinking, but if I stop acting cold, won't she stop chasing? Maybe. If the only thing holding her interest is anxiety, then yes, she might lose interest. And that is not a loss. That is a filter. Because do you really want a relationship where the only way to keep her engaged is to keep her unsure? That's not love. That's addiction. And addiction always comes with drama. If you want peace, you need to attract someone who responds to stability, and stability requires you to be stable. Now, to make this real, let's do a quick role play of how a calm man handles a distance control situation without becoming cold. Say, she pulls away and then sends a message like, sorry, I've been busy. The anxious man says, it's okay. I missed you so much. Are we okay? Did I do something? The cold man says, "'Kay." The calm man says, all good. Hope everything's okay. When you're free, let's catch up. And then he leaves it. If she responds and makes plans, cool. If she doesn't, he doesn't chase because he's not trying to control. He's offering. And if it's not received, he moves on. That's unbothered. Now, let's role play an argument. She says something disrespectful in the heat of the moment. The anxious man argues, escalates, tries to force an apology. The cold man disappears for 3 days to punish. The calm man says, I'm not going to be spoken to like that. We can talk when it's calm. Then he takes space. Later, if she comes back respectful, he continues. If she doubles down, he leaves. That's how you end drama, not by winning the fight, by refusing the dynamic. Now, let's talk about the part that separates men who watch content from men who change, doing it consistently when you're triggered, because anyone can be unbothered when everything is going their way. The test is when you feel disrespected, when you feel uncertain, when you feel like you might lose her. That's when your real identity shows. So here's what I want you to practice. Practice not responding immediately. Practice saying less. Practice being direct without being emotional. Practice walking away from confusion. And let's be clear, walking away doesn't mean you're rude. It means you're honest. I don't think we want the same thing. This doesn't feel consistent to me. I'm looking for something steady. No hard feelings. I wish you well. That kind of exit is rare. Most men either explode or beg. A calm exit is power. Now let's address a sneaky thing. Some men act cold because they confuse mystery with secrecy. Mystery is not being a puzzle. Mystery is having depth. It's having a life that doesn't revolve around her. It's having goals, values, discipline, friends, experiences. It's being a man she can't fully predict because you're not reactive, but you're still emotionally present. That's the sweet spot. Present, not predictable. Stable, not boring. Warm, not weak. So if you're currently trying to be mysterious by being emotionally absent, you're doing it wrong. You're not mysterious, you're unavailable. And unavailability is not masculine strength. It's often unresolved pain. Now, I want to finish by giving you the core principle that will keep you from ever making the number one mistake again. Here it is. Unbothered is not a behavior you use to control someone. Unbothered is the result of building yourself into a man who doesn't need control. Because he has standards, he has purpose, he has discipline, he has options in life, he has emotional regulation, he has self-respect, so he can be warm without fear, he can be direct without anxiety, he can be calm without being cold. And that is what changes how women treat you, not because you outsmarted them, but because your energy communicates something most men don't have, stability. And stability is rare, and it's attractive, and it creates real respect. So if you take nothing else from this video, take this. Stop trying to look unbothered. Become unbothered. Stop performing coldness. Build calm. And here's your challenge for the next 7 days. When you feel triggered, don't react. Regulate. When you feel anxious, don't chase. Ground yourself. When you feel disrespected, don't explode. Set a boundary. When you feel confusion, don't beg for clarity. Communicate once, then move accordingly. Do that for a week and you'll feel the shift. Because your peace will stop being something other people give you. It will become something you own.